So this will be part one of interpretations that I got for digital dollars now, money on the move, and Gen Next, the prophetic words that they have. None of the following is financial advice. Just consider me like a weatherman. I can be wrong still. I'm just trying to put the pieces of the puzzles together. Um, and the Lord will reveal all in His timing. So with that being said, now let's look at XLM and some of the prophetic points that they have given. It's 17 cents to 67 to 80 cents, and then back down to 11, and then up to $2 range when they're talking. I don't know if that would be the peak on this one. I don't think it will be. I think this next wave will probably be a lot higher than two. I think this might just be a rollover bucket time. Um, but for simplicity's sake, we'll just leave it as it is. Um, Now we know like Ryan talking about the breakwall position of surfing, and breakwall has multiple meanings. Um, like a breakwall can also be like a harbor where there's a bunch of rocks that break up the surf. But in surfing, where their position, a breakwall position is where the crest of the thing is breaking over. This is where they like to surf. This is their position. And think of it as the same as their pendulum, both digital dollars now and Ryan talked about pendulum moves and surfing and all that. Think of the pendulum on the side as it's moving, and like the pendulum, the plumb line of the pendulum would be like the 200 moving average. You want to think about it like that. That like so your moving average would be in here where we're surfing, right? We're just riding these waves. So we kind of graph it out. Um, what's going on here with XLM? I do think we will go to the 17. I know previously on the 10th, we came down here to the 17th, and this is on TradingView that shows all the exchanges. Some went lower. Some like Coinbase only went to like 27 cents around there, like 22 and a half cents for Kraken type thing. But when you add them all together, it did hit the 17. So that word could technically be filled. I don't think it quite has been yet, and I'll explain why. Um, so if you come here and you look at, this is all on Kraken right here, Kraken. Um, so they've not come down and grabbed this liquidity down here yet. If you ever look at heat maps of where liquidity is, it's always usually on top of the previous peaks and valleys, is where there's going to be lots of liquidity. Um, so we know those prophetic words of coming down to 17. There's still all this liquidity on Kraken, and then like on Coinbase, the American exchanges still have a lot of liquidity in that area where the Asian market actually already dipped and took it. I still think it might happen for the Americans where they might come down and take this liquidity before it goes up. I find it interesting that a lot of the prophetic words match where these peaks of liquidity are, right? Here's like 63 cents where we have here, like this is the range that all the prophetic words are talking about. I think these are liquidity sweeps. They're just going back to the waves. They're just sweeping liquidity as they're going in and grabbing and trying to shake everyone out of the market. But we can use this to our advantage. So by having our buy and sell in the correct places, and I'd be using limit orders or something like that. Follow money on the move. Definitely Ryan's recommendations on this type of stuff. But I think it's because we have liquidity sweeps on here, and that's the same. So you can actually see that here with XLM, where liquidity kind of goes in here when um, it goes up to the previous highs. That's the same like with Heather. She has like the 40s 22, the 40s 33 for this is Shiba Inu word, and then the 40s 44 word, and then the 55. You can see here where it kind of matches all where liquidity sweeps would be for probably these grid bots that'll be trading, and they'll be try to snag this liquidity and shake people out. but it's we're getting prophetic words of actually I think where the resistance and where to cash out at and kind of play these waves for those that are trading and doing it. I wouldn't recommend this definitely for everyone. Um, but I find it interesting. Shout out to Jordan. He actually used um, Fibonacci numbers, and it actually matches everything that like Heather talked about in her prophetic words of Shiba Inu. Like I said, the 2-2, the 3-3, the 4-4, 5-5, and she had a 6-6, if I remember correctly. I can't remember on that one completely, but I know on all these, it all matches. Just even on liquidity too, where resistance would be in previous highs and lows. Um, So it's fun to actually see the prophetic actually matching some of the technical analysis and how we can trade. And it's the same thing. Here's your moving average, where your surfing position, where we can ride these waves up and down to match. But the, so if it is liquidity sweep that the Lord is warning us about, right, and how to ride these waves, um, remember Ryan is a word on Polkadot and Avalanche. If you look at their liquidity, or as a longer distance, DOT has actually a really good distance before its liquidity when they're talking about. And the same thing here, you can see where its numbers is even better to try grab. And that might be why Ryan gave about DOT and Avalanche. And Avalanche is very similar. You can see it has a good long ways to go too for its liquidity grabbing. And if we're taking the same thing that they gave us about with Shiba Inu and XLM and applying that to Avalanche and DOT, it matches up really well. Where you could actually have some really good gains trading these waves on DOT and Avalanche. You can see here on both, they have quite a ways to run up before it hits those peaks. And you can see here where XLM runs first before other cryptos usually. You can see that here against XRP, where XLM ran first and then XRP. And I think this is where that prophetic word XLM to win is telling us that it's running first. Um, at first, I interpreted it as like, oh, that'll be the one with the biggest, highest percentage gain. I'm thinking it's just the Lord is letting us know that it runs first and it's in to win, meaning it crosses the finish line first. It runs first before the others do. And historically, that's actually happened, as you can see here when you compare XLM to XRP and some of the other markets. This is part one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Um, Let me know what you think. If you have any extra input or any extra guidance, or you think you know something on here, I'd love to hear it. You can send me an email. Morning Tea with Jesus. I appreciate it.